So we are going to do Q&A afterwards.
Here.
The last 15 minutes.
Wait, lower.
So what I'd like to do first, by the way, I'm Bob Watson, Director of Global Network Training for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. And we've got 4 lead generation machines up here. Do a 1-minute introduction for each one of you. Jeffrey, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Jeff Cohn. I own Omaha's Elite Real Estate Group, and Elite Real Estate Systems is our coaching company. Our team generates 2,000 leads a month. About 20% of our team sales come from the leads our team generates, and the rest come from leads that the agents generate.
I'm Adam Briley. My office is right next door. Run the Briley team, and our focus is actually mainly Zillow leads. So, talk to you about that.
Mark Brace, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I run a team of 4 agents, 2 staff, roughly about 300 leads a month from online.
Mike Evans with Elite Nebraska. We have about 30 agents, and we do a lot with Realtor.com, a little bit with Zillow, and a lot with getting listings off, or getting leads off of your existing listings, kind of maximizing your listings.
All right, so each one of you have tremendously successful teams. Is that correct?
Yes.
How many people in here have a tremendously successful team that's selling, say, over 100 units a year? Raise your hands. So there's 2 or 3 people that are doing that. Let's just take it from the standpoint of brand new people or people that want to increase their lead generation. And I'm going to ask each one of you this question. Is there still validity in organic leads? And if so, how are you creating organic leads for your organization? Start with Mike.
Organic leads, meaning, I guess, taking advantage of listings. The way that I do that, I have a listing plan. Basically, on Monday or Tuesday, we'll take a flyer, and you can have someone on your team do this. Either split the lead with you or pay them hourly to go hand these flyers out. Typically it's 100 flyers on Monday or Tuesday. It's a flyer that goes out to the neighborhood, asking them what they love about the neighborhood, communicating that we want to get the highest value out of this sale to increase their neighborhood value. On there is also a section where we're offering, for their advice, they're going to be entered in to win a bottle of wine or beer. Then on Wednesday, another flyer gets walked out, same 100 people, and that's an invite to the Nosy Neighbor open house that we're having for just the neighbors only on Thursday from 5:30 to 7. On that, it's also advertising beer and wine, winning that, and just telling them a little bit about the house. So then Thursday, all of the Nosy Neighbor open house signs go up on every corner we can possibly hit. A bunch of signs in the yard as well. And then we'll do 20 to 25 more flyers just to the nearest doors. And that's the day that whatever agent's working it, they're going to knock on at least the neighbors' doors that are right next to them. I mean, making those 2 contacts is better than nothing, but obviously we're getting out to the masses. So Nosy Neighbor open house happens. The next morning, Friday morning, is when the listing goes live, and 100 more flyers go out. And it's letting them know the listing's live and inviting them to the mega open house, which is going to be Saturday and Sunday. Once the house sells, it's a pending flyer. 30 days, 45 days later, it's another flyer that goes out letting them know that it's sold, and tips to how to, I guess, greet or welcome your new neighbors into the neighborhood. And with all of these, there's a link or something on there that's asking them, if they want to know what their home is worth, go here. We're trying to drive traffic back to us as much as possible.
So are all those flyers, the almost 1,000 flyers that are going to be delivered that week, hand-delivered to the 100? Okay,
Yes.
No direct mail?
No. I mean, we could do that, but it's a lot cheaper to just have someone walk those, and then you can get more FaceTime as well, especially this time of year, with people having their front door open. I never just put that in their sliding glass door or storm door. Those are the ones, it's an easy excuse to knock on their door and talk to them.
Okay, perfect. Mark?
Wow. Mike. You just pointed out a whole bunch of things I need to be doing. Yeah, so obviously I'm not nearly as organized as that. I guess I don't do maybe as much organic lead generation. Half of my business is past client, the other half is roughly half is online, and about 15-20% is organic. So I've got, most of my organic stuff comes from the fact that I did a lot of search engine optimization on my website a long time ago, and so my website itself ranks super high without AdWords. So if people are on search engines, they're going to find me. I sell 50, 70 homes from just organic SEO rankings.
So Mark, are you putting any custom content on your website that's driving people through search?
Yeah, I did hire interns for that. Really good use for interns. I had them all of our local colleges. The interns need to do projects in the business field to get a degree. So I had some interns build out some condo pages for all the condo developments, all the golf courses, some lake pages. So I'll connect on a lot of long tail keywords. So if somebody types in specifically condos in this neighborhood, I've got a web page for that on my site. And then I've loaded it with IDX so that if there is anything for sale, it's there too.
Perfect, great, thanks. Adam?
I don't do a ton with it, but I would say in the beginning, like 10 years ago, I did a lot with SEO, pay-per-click, so then that by default pushed our website up, I think organically. I haven't checked that in a while, I probably should do that, but so just starting, if you're focusing on that, what really was helpful, and Jeff might be able to offer insight on this too, is we did a ton with like Craigslist posters. I mean, I know it's like, it's cheap, but it's like, I can count over time and time again, like some of our best repeat clients we actually got from Craigslist postings, right? And it's free. It's just, I think it's done through like post lists, and there's different services that you guys can do that for, and they're always changing it too. But for me, if you're just starting out that, or Facebook, we drove a lot of traffic. It's just, when you're getting leads off Facebook, you're probably not going to get the now people, right? It's just the people that you're going to nurture. Maybe, and then those are contacts you can ask for referrals, that sort of stuff as well. But that's what I would classify as our organic leads.
Jeff?
Organic for us is anyone who are not doing an activity to get them to register to our website. Google Analytics tracks right now our organic signups is about 400 a month. Like both of these guys said, it's a lot about building your SEO presence. When we launched Boomtown, it was back in 2011. And they recommend that you come up with 10 to 15 unique pages that people will normally do searches for. So every market has areas, like golf course communities is one, lake communities, different regions of Omaha. So we have specific landing pages catered towards those 15 demographics, and then within each of those pages, there's a whole write-up, like he had mentioned an intern had written one, we hired someone to write up those sub-pages, and then there's active listings and neighborhood names that are associated with that. So someone searches ABC area or ABC subdivision, it drives them hopefully to our landing page within our website, and then there's a squeeze page if they start looking at houses. Another thing we did, and the person that actually ran with this was a $20,000 project, Dana in the back that's doing our video production, was in charge of this campaign. We looked at all the top 100 neighborhoods based on turnover back in 2015, and in 2016 we hired Dana to drive all those neighborhoods using a GoPro. So he did about a 90-second video of each of those neighborhoods, and we created a unique landing page for each of those sub-neighborhoods, and we hired a professional writer. It was $50 per article. She wrote 100 articles about each of these neighborhoods and spoke specifically to like demographics around like school districts, school ratings, shopping, what was near those areas. So today, because we have the video, and a voiceover, Dana did a voiceover, and he has radio experience. He sounds really sexy on his voice. And we, right now, if someone Googles any of those top 100 neighborhoods, a video pops up. Google gives a lot more Google juice to videos versus just content. And so the video pops up, and then if someone clicks on a little call to action inside the YouTube video, it drives them back to a landing page specific to that neighborhood.
So how do you set up a landing page? What's a squeeze page, and why do we need those?
So we can go back this way. So we use our CRM's Boomtown. Boomtown is who has provided us with the ability to have the landing pages and the squeeze pages. There's a lot of other great website solutions and CRMs that help you with that. Boomtown's been the easiest that we've seen so far. And you need a squeeze page so that you're not giving all your content away for free. And 10% of the people that come to our site register, 90% don't. So if they're looking at pictures, after the 4th picture pops up, it asks them to log in, and it asks them for their name, and then they can also use like their cell phone number as their password, and they can log in with Facebook. If they log in with Facebook, you then have access to their entire social profile. So you can see their picture, and you can go in and creep on them a little bit if you want to learn a little bit more about them. So you can reference those things when you have your initial phone call.
So basically, you're squeezing the information out of them after they
Correct.
look at a couple of properties.
Yep.
Okay.
Boomtown's what we use as well, so same.
And they're downstairs if you have any questions for those guys.
Awesome company.
Mark?
Yeah, I don't have too many squeeze pages. I only do that when somebody actively gets into searching properties. After the third or fourth page, I've got a registration page. They can use Facebook, or they can sign in with a name and their email. So I use Curator and Real Pro Systems. I've got 2 websites. Curator does a lot of my Facebook stuff.
What was it, the one Curator and?
Real Pro Systems. That's the one I started in like 2005, 2006, something like that. So I have so much content on there, I can't get rid of it.
So, Mike?
Market Snapshot's the only one that we're using.
Market Snapshot? And how's that working?
It's decent.
Is that a top producer product, right?
That's
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Other ones, Bob, that I've heard a lot of success with, Sync, obviously, Real Geeks, Firepoint. You used Tiger Leads in the past. I don't know if they're still around.
Really sold, but that was a great one too.
Real Estate Webmasters is a really great one. It's expensive. They'll custom build a site for you. I think it's like $25,000, but their SEO is amazing.
They have different levels they offer too, so.
But Boomtown is super inexpensive. They'll build a custom site. You can go out to either of our websites, and they're pretty awesome.
So what are the challenges of building a site with, say, one of these providers you just mentioned, and you start putting up that neighborhood content on the site, and you decide to leave that company? What happens to the neighborhood content?
Basically, got to copy and paste it into your new one.
Boomtown owns your site.
Yeah.
You own your URL. If you leave, you're gonna have someone else build you a site. But because of that, that's also the huge value with Boomtown. They build it with WordPress. It's adaptive and responsive technology, so no one needs an app to access all the information. They can be on a tablet or a phone or a computer. So everything's trackable, like everything. So if you put your sphere into your CRM and your best friend's looking at a $250,000 house 3 times in a row, you'll know they looked at it. You'll know where they looked at it from. You'll know if they run a mortgage calculator. Like every button on the site is trackable.
All right, let's start. Mike, top 3 lead gen sources for you.
Realtor.com, listings, and Sphere.
Realtor.com paid for, right?
Yes.
And do you want to share how much that cost you, average?
I do not have those numbers.
Okay, all right, but it does cost money.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so Realtor.com, listings,
Yes.
and then Sphere?
Yes.
All right. Mark?
So I've got 4. Sorry, I'm going to break your mold. Obviously, your listings, you leverage any social proof you have. So anytime you have signs, you're mailing the neighborhood, so always leverage. Zillow and Realtor, I spend about $8,000 on each a month. I got my Realtor.com socks on today. And Sphere of Influence. I mean, ton of business for my Sphere of Influence. Just do client parties and events.
What I'm doing is, we're always changing it, right? So you always got to be, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you should always be looking at your ROI. I mean, always. If you're not doing that, you'll fail. I used to do that 10 years ago, and I was on the verge of a bankruptcy, like literally, because I was just spending money like crazy, right? So watch what you're spending your money on, right? So I've tried it all, I've done it all. I can truly say that. I've failed it a lot, but our top ones right now are focusing on past clients. Radio has always been a good thing for us. That's declined a little bit for us, but it still pays for itself. It still has a good ROI, and Zillow for us. Now our market, I don't know if some of you guys have heard, anyone that does do Zillow, Zillow is changing how they're going to be doing things. It's changed in some markets. It hasn't changed in ours yet. We're still probably 2 months out. So I might have a totally different opinion on Zillow in 3 months from now, so keep that in mind. But Zillow is our #1 moneymaker. And we're always changing our budget. So we're always looking at, typically when the market slows down, we like to double down. in the market, where a lot of people want to pull out. I want to go all in. So we were at like around $5,000-6,000 a month. We just increased it to $12,000 a month on Zillow, but our ROI is still 400+%. So for us, it makes sense. Why not do it? It's a big source. I would say that and past clients are top two for.
Yeah.
Again, that could change in 3 months. So it's just always reacting to what's going on in the market.
We're spending $8,500 a month on internet leads. $6,500 is Google ads. Right now we're paying $1 a click. Takes us about 10 clicks to get a lead, and we need about 30 leads to get a sale. So we have a really good ROI. I'm netting around $3,000 per Google ad converted lead. Our highest return on investment is Craigslist. We have permission in Nebraska by the Real Estate Commission that we can post houses on behalf of a broker as long as the broker gives us permission. So the way Vince does that is we'll post other Berkshire Hathaway agents' listings as long as they've given us permission to post them. So we have about 100 agents with a company of 500 agents that have said, yeah, anytime I get an active listing, you can post it on our behalf. So we use a third-party company, a virtual assistant in the Dominican Republic. All Tech World. You can find his contact info on our resources tab at eliterealestatesystems.com. But he charges like $300 a month, and he posts 100 houses a day. He posts them from 3 separate IP addresses. He logs into a computer because on Craigslist you have to be within a certain geographical location to be able to post. And then Facebook, we do Facebook pixeling. So we get 40,000 visitors a month to our site. 20,000 are unique, 20,000 are paid for. So all of the people that pay to come, we decided that we would run Facebook ads targeted just to them. So we have about 20,000 new people every 30 days that we target on Facebook. So if we do generate a lead off Facebook, it's not a random lead. It's someone who had done a Google search of buy house Omaha, sell house Omaha. And then sphere of influence, of course, is going to be the top for all of us. My thing I want to say to that is if you're a Rainmaker agent, you should only spend your time in your sphere. If you're brand new to the business, a lot of times your spheres are small. As team leaders, you'll want to drive internet lead traffic to those agents to help them build their sphere. So a lot of people that join my team will be like 50% internet leads, 50% sphere, but after 2 or 3 years, we empower them to learn how to work their sphere of influence, and eventually they'll only do about 15 or 20% internet leads. The rest will come from their sphere of influence.
So Jeff, well, you were just saying Facebook pixeling? Could you explain that, because you were
I
talking
don't know a lot
fast.
of tech talk on it. I'd say Google it. Maybe someone in here could speak better to it. But essentially, you can create code behind the person, like whoever comes out to your site. You can track where they came, what IP address they came from, and then run ads directed to them.
Okay, great.
I think the biggest thing too when you're generating leads.
My clothes.
I have no idea what this is.
Basically, it's a piece for your website. So if anyone hits your website, you capture their data and you can market to them now.
Oh yeah.
Adam?
Well, I think when you're generating leads, this might be a question that you might bring up, but there is a point where you'll start generating too many leads and it becomes counterproductive. Buddy Blake first taught me that. He's a Remax agent. I think he's still at Remax down in South Carolina, I think. But there is a point where you'll get too many people, whether it's you or your agents, it's overwhelming, and then that's when people start falling through the cracks. So I would say if you're newer, start small and build yourself up to know what you can handle as far as the amount of leads that you come in. The number of leads coming in doesn't always mean that's the best. You got to try to focus on the quality of the lead too.
We should ask, from a point of diminishing return standpoint, where have you guys found is the right amount of leads to give a new agent? And this also addresses the question, when is the right time to hire an additional agent? And for us, we found that point of diminishing returns to be around 30 leads per agent, with leads coming from Google Ads, Facebook, and Craigslist. If it's another lead where you're not forcing the squeeze page and they're electing that they want to go out and look at a property, you might be able to give them less than that. But we found that point about 30. Everyone on our team's getting 50 leads a month, and they're still selling the same amount of houses, they're just converting way less. So they're cherry picking it ultimately. What's your guys'
I don't know.
experience?
I would say mine's probably a lot lower than that, just because, and the way Zillow, for example, that's where our money's at. They're changing how that's all going to be. Right now, we might get 200 Zillow leads a month. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's probably going to go down by a third, to a third of that. So, but it should. They say, whoever's had the change, let me know. Is they say it's
6 months ago.
Yeah, they say it should be more like highly qualified leads when you're getting them, right? And that's really what you want, but whether that truly works, who knows? But I would say at any given time we're probably in 15. We have a lot of zip codes in our market.
Yeah.
Probably 12 to 15.
So do you two, Jeff and Adam, do you compete for zip codes?
I'm not on Zillow.
He doesn't do
Oh, you're not
Zillow.
on
We did Zillow. We do everything at least once. Like Adam said, we've lost lots of money. We've probably spent $1 million in lead gen. Well, we have loosely, our marketing service partners have. And we always track it. We've been tracking it for 6 years. Kevin in the back's our ops manager. He does all the analytics for us. We really never have lost money, but it's always finding where can we get the greatest ROI. And we've continued to get the greatest ROI from Craigslist and Google Ads. It's a 10x return on our financial investment. So
Well, like Mike's team, they kill it on Realtor. I lost my ass on Realtor. So
Why is that?
I have no idea.
I think it's the spend. Whoever's spending the most in that market, they're favoring.
Okay, so realtors favors, is that,
I agree. On
Yeah.
Zillow, that's kind of how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll get overflow leads and stuff
Yeah.
other
'Cause
than what they promised.
our spend is very small on Zillow, and we're not really seeing too much
Yeah.
from that. But he's killing it with Zillow.
I think the difference is each team's lead conversion expectations. So I think there's teams that are used to Zillow where someone requests a showing versus a Realtor.com lead or a Google ad lead that was forced to register on a site. Those are totally different relationships.
Yeah.
The scripts you use, the follow-up process is going to be totally different depending on the two. So if you don't have a strong team that enforces accountability and has certain expectations around how the agents need to treat those leads, they're not going to see a conversion. They're going to say the internet leads aren't convertible, but the truth is they are. They're just not working on the way they're supposed to.
and what's the average cultivation time for any one of these lead sources?
6 months.
6 months? So you got to be in it for 6 months at least.
It's a 6-month relationship from
Zillow's-
register to convert.
Zillow's a lot lower. I mean, Zillow's probably like maybe 30 days. Yeah, 30 or now buyers.
They're ready to see a house today.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday they missed out on the one.
How many people are advertising on Zillow in here right now? Any specific questions to ask these experts on Zillow in the back? Kevin?
Mark said that Zillow changed their platform in your market 6 months ago.
Yep.
You know, like Adam, I'm in a market where it's coming. Have you seen a increase or decrease in the quality of leads?
Yeah, so I feel like the leads have probably gotten a little bit better. Again, my team handles a lot of the online leads now, but I think the first 2 weeks when they switched over was a nightmare because I already had like a virtual ISA and other stuff handling all of my lead sources, and then I like needed to turn off Zillow and Trulia. And what sucks about that is the way Zillow does it now is if that lead has already registered or clicked on another home, like you don't have an opportunity again like you used to have. It just goes back to that agent, and they have that person for like 30 days now.
Yeah.
And if that person signs up again after 30 days, then they're a new free lead. So then it would go to you if they clicked on you. I'm gonna share a secret, and it's got to stay in this room.
This is getting recorded.
Is it? So maybe I should say it. All right. I threw an absolute stink. I threw an absolute stink with my Zillow rep because it absolutely disassembled all the systems I had in place to have them operate separately. Their ISA system, didn't put notes in with the leads that were coming in, so it completely discombobulated my whole back end and my systems. And he figured out a workaround to get me off of it. So
They'll work with you a little bit. but-
they'll work with you, but I'm just saying, like, you gotta, and I've had other agents around the country talk to me about this, but you have to use the system for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you have to say, like, it's destroying my business, and then they will get you off of it.
Question over here.
This question is for Jeff. I heard you say that you lost a bunch of money, and then obviously your marketing service partners lost a lot of money. I suppose most of you read recently that the CFPB backed off of the Zillow lawsuit with regard to them cooperating with the real estate industry. Has that changed any? I don't know if you're aware of that, but is that how do you participate with your marketing service partners? And if you're aware of that, has changed the way that
So I listened to an interview 3 years ago with Steve Murray and one of the attorneys with RESPA, and there's always been this rumor that you had to have a 50-50 contribution when it came to MSAs. I've never read law that says that. I think that was an urban legend. If someone can prove me different, let me know. I've brought this up like 100 times on podcasts and no one ever challenges this. So there was this idea that it had to be a 50-50 share. That hasn't been true in my world. For 6 years, I've had lenders and vendors, home inspection, home warranty, title insurance, and lenders contribute to our marketing dollars. These companies have to contribute to marketing spend somewhere, usually 20% of a P&L or gross volume someone is going to put towards marketing. So who better than the actual entity that can send business back to them? And so we've been able to go out and create strategic relationships with these companies, and it totals about $12,000 a month and has for the last several years. And so we want to obviously be good stewards of their money, and that's why we've always been tracking ROI, because we knew eventually one day they might go away or the law could change and poof, we have to pay $12,000 a month. So I want to make sure we're doing the best we can with that spend. So what I'd recommend to anyone in the room, even if your budget's $1,000, which is where we started back in 2011, put 70% of your marketing spend to the top 2 or 3 lead sources if you've already been doing it based on what's been driving your business year to date, and then put 30% of your marketing spend into maybe 1 or 2 other lead sources. So you're always testing the market for your market, because all of our markets are different, and trying to figure out what's the next best thing when it comes to lead gen. And best isn't always defined by cost of lead or even ROI. To us, best is defined as how much work and time is going to be spent to convert each and every lead.
So do lenders, other companies work with you because you're you? Or does everybody have somebody contributing towards the cost of these leads?
Yeah, they work with us because our teams do a lot of numbers.
Right.
A lot of times the relationship, it's under promise, over deliver. It's companies we were already giving leads to when we were individual agents or had a few agents. They saw that we had machines we had built that were going to drive business to them, and that there's no way they could lose by helping pay to generate leads that we were going to convert and send back to them. It also opens the door for them to build sphere relationships. So they're not just converting the leads they're paying for, they're also converting the leads the agents are creating from their sphere of influence because of the relationship with the vendor.
Adam, Mark, Mike. All right, so, and you clear this all through your broker, right? You just don't set these relationships up.
Vince allows for us to create marketing service agreements, but I don't have to ask him permission when I enter into a new agreement.
Okay. Does anybody else have any marketing service agreements with lenders or other companies to help advertise? Great. All right, who has any questions for these guys on lead generation? Wow. Did they answer all your questions?
There are like too many rabbit holes. I have something I'll mention that I really wanted to make sure everyone took away with this. Obviously, sphere is the important one. We had to know a sphere is anyone that would know you if you came across them at church or at CrossFit or wherever. But I feel like a lot of agents aren't taking advantage of building relationships of trust with their sphere by showing them the value that we offer. So part of our outbound prospecting, if an agent's going to do a third of their deals from each lead category, we denote as internet leads, sphere of influence, and outbound prospecting. So prospecting would be calling on someone that's not internet and not part of your sphere. If an agent splits their time up into a third of each of those, when it comes to their sphere of influence, I think Briley's probably do a great job at this as well. We make sure our agents are calling everyone that's in their sphere every 3 months and always offering something of value. So anytime we call them, text them, slide dial, email, mail, it's giving them something. And the number one thing of value that everyone you know would want to know right now is how much homes are selling for in their neighborhood. So every person you know should be on an automatic email letting them know every time a house sells or every time a house gets listed. And the assumption will be that you're the ones listing them or you're the one selling them. You're not going to say that, but that's what they'll think every time they see a sale in their neighborhood. Who do you think they're going to call when they're ready to list? And most agents don't take advantage of this, and it's free. All of our MLSs allow us to set that up. Boomtown, we can set it up on the back end of Boomtown as well, so we see who's opening these listing updates and who's not. So that's one little easy trick I wanted to recommend to everyone. And then when you call the lead every quarter, you can talk about all the listings selling in their neighborhood and how great the market is, and ask them if they want a free market analysis and go from there.
Well, in Berkshire Hathaway, don't they offer, is it online seller advantage?
The Seller Advantage program, the market activity report, you can put your entire database on there, and whenever something sells, they get updated on that. Thanks, Adam. Yep.
As far as open houses go, do you have your team members conduct open houses, like regular public open houses? What are your thoughts on all that?
Our team, I would say every weekend we have an open house. Someone on the team is doing open houses, right? Like for our team of, say, 10 of us, at least half of us are probably doing open houses. Okay. Unless it's a holiday. especially if you're new, it's a way to get business. Now, some of us have been in it for a while. You might want to not want to do an open house. I hadn't done an open house in 7 years, and I just did my first one a weekend ago. Got 2 leads from it, so I felt pretty good. But yeah, I know. I didn't know what to do. But yeah, I think it's a great way.
Our team definitely does opens, but our success manager who meets with our agents every week, he defines for each agent where he believes and they believe they can be the most successful. If they've already been on the team for 12 months, we're going to look at where they were the most successful last year. So if 50% of their deals came from opens, now we're going to say, hey, put about 70% of your time in opens or 75% of your time in opens. So oftentimes we think we should treat all of our agents the same way, but all of our agents have different strengths and weaknesses. One person can walk around and hand flyers to someone face to face, while another person feels comfortable on a Mojo dialer calling FSBO leads. So be sure as you help people shape how they want to work their business, they're doing the things they're willing to do. So it's like, what's the best exercise routine? It's the one you're going to do. What's the best diet? The one you're going to follow. So be sure you're not making your agents do something that isn't in their comfort zone. We can all be successful doing tons of different things. It's just important that we're doing them.
Do all 4 of you do open houses, or your teams do open houses? Team?
Yeah, I do them myself, and our team does as well.
How are you collecting the names and phone numbers, email addresses of the open house and putting them in your database?
iPad login,
iPad
Manual transfer.
I make some pretty bomb-ass cookies that
And have a paper register with a pen and pencil?
I just put it in my phone. I'm not on top of them, and it's just kind of, for me, I just try to build that relationship with them, and generally they want me to reach back out to them is where I found success.
Mark, have you automated the process? Or
Yeah, it's iPad logins or, manual sign-ins.
Mike?
I'm more like Adam, but I know a lot of people have a lot of success with the iPad logins.
So
Or just a
iPad
pad.
logins, is that a program or is
There's apps for people
there's a couple
to
apps.
log in. And it's an easy sell to a person walking through. You say, the homeowner has asked that every person that enters their home fills this out. You'll also be entered for a $50 drawing to the restaurant of your choice if you're chosen. That's really easy. They're like, oh cool, I might win $50, and the homeowner asked me to sign in, and they sign in.
Okay. I'm going to start outbound prospecting. I don't really have any money to buy Zillow leads. What's the best thing I could start doing to get some listing leads?
I'll dive in first. Mojo dialer is $156. Adam was the first one ever to show me Mojo. I don't know if you knew that. So I signed up right after walking out of his office. I hated using it because I was done prospecting at that point in my career, but I empowered my agents to use it. And you can do what's called circle prospecting or just listed, just sold. So the same strategy Mike's implementing with handing flyers out, you can direct dial all of the homeowners in a neighborhood. You can create pre-recorded voicemails. So let's say you have an open this Saturday and Sunday. You can say, hey, this is Mike Evans. We're going to host this awesome open house Saturday, Sunday with bomb-ass cookies. Come check it out between noon and 2.
I would get calls from his agents sometimes when I lived in my old neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were doing it?
Yeah.
So like 9 out of 10 of these numbers you dial, you'll get a voicemail, and you can just drop the voicemail. And taking it even further, you can use an assistant or a virtual assistant to use your dialer and drop your voicemail. And you can do this for your sphere, you can do this for hot leads, you can do this for your sellers, essentially touching base with them via these voicemail drops using the Mojo dialer. It's really inexpensive. From an analytics standpoint, we found it takes about 10 hours of outbound prospecting to land a listing that sells. So if you're averaging $6,000 a listing, you guys can do the math. How much is that an hour? $600. It's pretty dang good money. So we have several people on our team that religiously use Mojo. They make about 500 to 1,000 dials a week.
Mojo for me is very uncomfortable, so I did it one time and that was it. So it's probably the one
The
time
time
I
you showed me.
Jeff. But I would say when I first started, it was for sale by owners and expireds, right? Go for the biggest pain. Just get the rejection. I truly believe that's where I'm at today, is because I dove into the rejection part of it right away and got that part handled and got my mind over being rejected constantly. But I would love to say that everyone on my team was constantly hitting for sale by owners and expireds, but it's just totally not true. It's very inconsistent, but Vulcan 7 is what we use. It's a great program if you guys haven't
Same with
heard of
us.
it.
That's where I was going.
I mean, that's the program you'd use. Vulcan 7.
$200 a month.
Yep. But
But that
Yeah.
doesn't do it for you. I mean, that gives you the numbers. You have to still pick up the
you
phone.
still got to pick up the phone and call them, right?
But
And-
Vulcan gives you better contact info. Though Red X was the company I used for a long time,
right.
and a lot of times you didn't have proper phone numbers, and people no longer have landlines. But Vulcan 7 will get you next of kin, so you might call the lead's kid or uncle or someone else in their family. So it gives you like 6 numbers associated with each address based on family members that might be attached to that address.
But you have to pick up the phone, right? I mean, that's, you gotta do it. You gotta set aside time to pick up the phone.
Mark,
Or buy the software and teach your agents to pick up the phone.
Or that.
Which is what I do.
Mark, I need listing leads fast.
Yeah, if you know, I guess if you don't have money to advertise and you need listing leads fast, leverage the social proof of your office. If anyone in your office lists a home in a neighborhood, work that neighborhood. You know, say, hey, our office just listed this house. Have a good script, like, you know, you're going to be 60% more successful if 2 homes in the same neighborhood, or, you know, whatever. And I would say leverage any of your social proof opportunities if you need listing leads now.
Mike?
I'd say what I opened up with, I mean, taking advantage of what listings team members have, and if they're not willing to walk the neighborhoods, why not, you know, tell them that you'll split any leads with them, be able to take advantage of their listing and go hand out flyers to that neighborhood, promoting the listing and trying to pick up leads.
Okay. Great. All right, any other questions in here before we keep going on?
I have a question.
Yep.
Have you really talked about internet? Do you use any paper, do your agents use note cards, or are you truly just email? Are all of your systems email?
So my flipping business uses flyers. We send out $10,000 a month in postcards. But the real estate team, we don't do any paper. We actually were doing flyers on every sign until last week, and we pulled the plug on that campaign as well. I just think we're moving into a virtual world. Paper, I feel like, dates you. It works. Everything works, whatever you're willing to do and run behind it. So on all of our signs, we have a Google Voice number that gets redirected every day to whoever's working duty time, taking all the leads in one given day. They'll also get the sign call leads. And each of our agents can put their cell phone number on their listings. What about you guys? I'm curious, paper, what do you do with paper? Do you use flyers in your houses?
We don't, nope, no flyers. We have one, it's called the shitty letter, and there's some people that know this. It's literally what we call it. An agent on our team, her name's Amanda, I think, or Jenna, this girl right here, she created this letter, and it said something along the sorts of like, we're looking for a buyer, or I just sold a listing in your neighborhood, and
Handwritten with the Sharpie so you can photocopy it and you don't know that you didn't handwrite it.
and just, it's 3 sentences long.
Yeah,
And I would say the team overall has gotten 20, 25 listings and that's just from 8 months ago. You know, I don't feel like it was that long ago, so.
That's what I was saying. Just that, like, I've had buyers looking in certain neighborhoods that there's a listing, so, like, I think I started in downtown looking for a condo, I sent out 12 letters and I got 2 listings from it. Just
And you're like, oh, that works.
most people's stuff looks way better and you just handwrite it.
I personally found with that, like, I've had more success with the yellow note tab paper than anything else. Because for me, like, it takes away from the branded look that I feel like we're really good at, but it also, I'll try to customize it to them maybe a little bit, but again, you're always testing and tuning and see what works. I think that's the big thing, is testing it. For us right now, that the shitty letter is working, so we're gonna keep going with it until we stop seeing results.
We have shitty signs in our market. They're the yellow signs with a Sharpie that says whatever, and it is a lead generator, even though they're saying it's, you know, Cheryl buys houses or
Yeah.
something like that.
Right.
It actually does go to a lead generation, so
Yeah.
it's the same type
Yeah.
of concept.
Yeah, I don't do pretty much any print. No flyers. I've tried postcards in the neighborhood for a while. The only thing I do is I have my office manager send a letter to the nearest 25 homes after we sold the house.
Just sold cards.
Yeah, but it's a letter, it's not a card.
It's a letter.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, it's again just, you know, it's a easy opportunity to leverage your proof. Hey, we sold your neighbor's house. You know, and you know, it takes an hour or so for her to do that, and I mean, I'll typically, every other home, I'll probably get a listing.
For sale by owners and expireds, tough rejection on that. What's the script for those?
We can share our own. I like saying, you have to call them when they first go. We have virtual assistants in our call center that make those calls all the time. And I've always said address the elephant in the room. Like Adam was saying, do the hardest activity first and then nothing scary. Expired and fizzles are the most scary. A realtor just failed them. Why would they ever want to go with another one, right? In the expired situation. The FSBO chose to go FSBO because they didn't want a realtor. So both of them are scary. On the expired front, I like to address the elephant in the room and just say, hey, I saw your house just expired. You've probably gotten 25 phone calls by now. And then they usually laugh a little bit. It lets their guard down. And I'll say, my call is going to be different than any other call you've gotten. Instead of me explaining it over the phone, can we meet in person? And just because of my boldness, that bold script of saying, hey, I'm different than everyone else, allow me to come in. People are usually resonate with that.
I would say being bold is huge. I haven't done a FSBO call in probably 10 years now, but I will say, I test different things, right? I would categorize different people. Like I would have 10 under the Mike Ferry script, 10 under, I used to have Kinder Reese was a coaching program. So I'd try different scripts and then I would kind of make my own. I would try the passive approach where I would constantly reach and keep it in touch with them every week. And then on the 8th week, they still haven't sold it, especially on the market when, back 10 plus years ago, that was very likely. And then they're like, you're the only guy that kept calling me, will you please come over here? So that's worked. Again, it's very passive. And then you try the aggressive way, which to me I would classify as the Mike Ferry script, just going for the kill, going right for the appointment. So I would test different things. And I encourage anyone else to do the same thing because you have to make sure it feels right for you too, right? I didn't feel good with Mike Ferry. I'll just say it. Totally, there's a lot of great Mike Ferry agents, but it just wasn't my style, and it didn't work for me. So I started making my own dialogue, but I was testing things, and some had, you'll see different successes.
Mark?
Yeah, like Adam, it's probably been like 10 years since I've done that. So I have a hard time remembering how much fun or lack of fun it was at this point. But, my team doesn't do a lot of that. No. I just expect business to come to me because I'm great.
Any luck with those, Mike?
I don't do them at all.
I'll share one last strategy. When I was still in production, I would go to like a post office and grab a bunch of FedEx envelopes. And for every expired listing, I had an admin on our team who would print off a CMA, and then we had like a little intro letter that I would sign, kind of like your idea, Jenna, where you make it look like a real letter and you just make photocopies. And then every person whose listing expired at midnight, he'd be at their house at 7 a.m. in the morning and put a FedEx envelope in their door, and we'd fill out the whole envelope. I don't even know if this is legal. I hope we are recording. It just seemed like a good idea to me because I'm like, who's not going to open a FedEx envelope, right? And so we would do this, and then we'd follow up with a phone call and say, hey, we left a CMA on your porch. I'd love to come and meet with you to talk about it. And we're like, who else is doing that? And there were like maybe one or two other agents that would drop off something.
I think we tried it every once in a while.
Yeah, it was probably you guys and us.
There's 2 packages.
Right? But to me, that differentiated us to everyone else that was calling.
Yeah.
Would you ask? He wouldn't knock. He'd just leave it on their porch.
So I can't afford to pay money for a Boomtown or a CRM. How do I organize all my contacts so I can stay in touch with them? And how do I stay in touch with them?
Well, Jeff, I remember when he first started, he was on, and this is you start as small as you can, you work your way up, right? So I remember I was talking to Jeff. I'm pretty sure he had like an Excel program to keep track of all your contacts. So you can start there, and then you go to like Top Producer, which isn't super expensive. I started with a program called Web Agent Solutions. They give you two websites. $250 for both of them. It gave you a back end, and then I started with like $100 pay-per-click budget, and then it went to $500, and then next thing I know, it went to, next thing I know, I was 22 years old and I was spending like $7,000 a month on that one platform, not knowing what the hell I was doing. So it's just, again, try to start small and you work your way up, but you can do it as simple as an Excel program.
Doesn't Berkshire have a CRM?
Yeah, what the hell?
I was going to say, isn't that
How many people are actually using a CRM, not
testing us.
Gmail contacts, but actually using a CRM? All right, because there is a CRM called Lead Resource in Resource Center, which for 90% of the agents in our network of 47,000, it actually works very well. So it's a free system.
It's a really nice CRM, actually. It's just like most of us probably we're too in deep with our current CRMs, where it's like we're not changing.
Too many
Not what Bob
people
wants to hear.
switch too often and
Right.
think that the CRM is magically going to make them business, but don't end up investing the time to learn how to do it. Say whatever CRM you're going to use, just stick with that.
Okay. So a person I sold a house to 5 years ago, went and sold that house without using me. How do I stay in touch with my past clients the best way?
I love this question. I think this is the most important topic. 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer will speak to this. He talks about 4 areas of communication that are informational and 3 that are influential. The influential zones that he'll speak of in his book that you guys I hope will read talk about phone calls, face-to-face interaction, and then networking groups. And he has a whole strategy on how to build relationships and get referrals by giving referrals and essentially building relationships of trust. So for us, we use a company called Viral Marketing. They're downstairs. It's $525 a month. Every 2 weeks, we send out a video that's a value-add 90-second video. They write a whole article about the video, and then they email it out to our database. We have 150,000 people in our database that we've built over the last 7 years. So every 2 weeks, they get our email. We can see who's opened it. That's why I like technology advertising versus paper advertising. You can see who opened it, who engaged. You can create call to actions to drive people to your site rather than having to go and type in a URL, which is impossible to try to get someone to do in our experience. And then also just calling, having a process where I would have a list of like your top 15 or 20 people. You call your champions, you take them out to dinner every quarter, invite them over to your house, have an event once a year or 2 times a year, and then just constantly staying top of mind by calling and building relationships with people. And so you yourselves as agents should be doing that with your clients and teach your agents to do that with theirs.
Also, 7 levels of communication. We don't have a system necessarily. We'll do a lot of social media, so that's touching them in an email blast. But for us, I feel like a lot of us, Jenna knows this, is you kind of identified your ambassadors, your people that you feel are going to be most likely to be sitting, and that's from 7 levels, and those are people you want to keep in touch with, right? So for me personally, a lot of times it's just a quick phone call or it's a text message, very simple. And a lot of times you always want to coach them, right, on making sure that they're constantly having the mind to send your referrals. But for me, a lot of times it's just checking in. And then we do. Debbie DeGroat actually had this idea that we learned this is, I think she was here 3-4 years ago. We started doing, we used to do a lot of past night parties, but now we're doing just Santa pictures. We have Santa come in one day or 2. We've tested it. Don't do it 2 days in a row. It's very exhausting. Have Santa come in one day and then have their kids. A lot of times it's grandkids coming in. So your parent or the clients that are grandparents will bring their grandkids in. That was a great way for us to keep in touch with them. So that was a really good idea that Debbie DeGroat actually offered a few years ago. So, and then you give them pictures and nice way to keep in touch with them.
So I haven't heard, Mark, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say I use viral marketing too. I shoot cheesy videos, but they're me, and everyone loves to see me. And I kid you not, I don't know if your agents experience this, but everyone always says, I love your videos. And I'm like, that took me like 5 minutes, and I shot it in my webcam, and I didn't even rehearse anything. But your clients, they love it. They love you giving them quick market updates, telling them something about real estate, giving them something educational, and it's just an email blast to them.
Yeah, you can make them as authentic as you want. I just went to VidCon in Anaheim last year, and they talked about authenticity and how important that is to this rising generation. So they don't need post-edited and look really professional. The more shitty letter you can make them, honestly, people like that even more.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. All right. So I did doing something right. All right.
Well, I feel like if you're doing a video, like what you this is where maybe we disagree. I don't know, but
I spent $25,000 on this badass video. I mean, it was cool. $25,000, but it was all about us. They don't give a shit about you. I mean, they care about you and what value you bring into them. So that's what I've kind of learned is like we're there to guide them in the process of buying and selling, right? So I feel like what information can we provide? So market updates I think is awesome, but that's where I was stuck in, and maybe it was my pride and ego, but to spend all this money on a video of how great we are, man, what a waste of money. So don't go do the high production thing like these guys are doing. It's not worth it.
Another thought that I had too that I want to make mention of, I'll use my virtual assistant to send out Facebook messages. So if you ever get a Facebook message from me, it might not be me, but it's a great way to leverage somebody else and send messages to your sphere because you can't send out a mass Facebook message. Facebook doesn't allow it. You only can do one at a time, and they'll usually bar you once you hit about 50. So I'm constantly having them send out Facebook messages, both for recruiting and for sending out personal messages with whatever message I create. And then the people that respond to it, obviously, you try to get on a phone and set up an appointment.
So will you be at your boat on Saturday when I show up?
Probably.
Okay.
It's a pool.
Yeah, the pool. We've talked about video. What about Facebook Live? Is anybody doing Facebook Live? Got a little bit of it.
Yeah. Once a month, we have a training in our office. Everyone at Berkshire is welcome to come to any of our team trainings, but we really push one a month. Usually it's one that I'll be teaching, like on listing presentation or negotiation. And we invite everyone in our market to come and attend in person, but a lot of people don't want to physically be here because they're worried that people will think they're going to join our team, which I still don't understand that fear and why people can't play together. But we give them access to the meeting via live stream, and we do that with these cameras in this office, and we stream it to a Facebook page called Omaha's Elite Real Estate Mastermind, and anyone's welcome to join that mastermind page.
So how do they get to that?
We invite them to we pay for ads to get people to join it, and then we also personally invite them from my Facebook account to join that Facebook page. But we could also stream to ours if we wanted to as well.
So does anybody on your team stand in front of a house and say, hey, I just sold this house, do a quick Facebook Live and then boost it? Generate leads through their Facebook accounts?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I would say it's not after the sale, it's really when the house goes live. It's going through the house, doing kind of a video tour, talking about the features and promoting the house, and then boosting that post, but then also boosting professional videos that are done on the house.
Okay. Are you getting leads from that, or?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I do it quite often, so I get people that will call me and say, hey, we follow you, you're our guy, come over, we'd love to talk with you about what we need to do to get ready. We're going to go with you.
Yep, those are the calls you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are great.
Bob, every time we host an event, so I'm no longer in production, so I'm not generating internet leads, but I'm recruiting, and I'm also pushing coaching events, like Explosion. I don't know if you guys saw my little mini video about pushing Explosion. People love that. It's so authentic. It's live. People will come on live and make comments, or they'll go in and watch the recording of it. But I think anytime you have that opportunity, versus a picture versus a live video, the live video is going to be a lot better.
So Jeff, I don't like the way I look and sound on video. What am I going to do?
Get over it. That's how you look and sound.
Exactly.
Your clients are going to see that in person. Might as well show them on video.
Yeah.
I know.
Everyone knows how you.
No one likes how they sound.
Good. So, great way to generate leads. Testimonials.
Yep, we use a company called Real Satisfied. It's like $50 a month, and each of our agents, every time they convert a deal, a week after it closes, Stephanie, who's actually our buyer's admin, calls the client, thanks them for using Omaha's Elite. We do send one thank you letter, that is print, without asking for referrals. It's an amazing idea, you guys. You can actually send stuff and not say your referrals are really important to me. Just say thank you, which is what we do. And then we ask them to take a survey. It's a 20-minute survey. 75% of the people that take it are female. So a lot of times, I guess, females like to take the surveys more than males. But it gives us tons of information about the exchange that they had with our agent and shows us, from a coaching standpoint, areas that we can improve. But all the public sees is it's 5-star ratings in 3 different categories, like satisfaction, etc. And so they also will leave a testimonial, and it lives on our site. If you go to omahaselite.com, you'll see all of our testimonials scrolling. And they're not static. Those are our most recent testimonials that we've received from clients. But someone can go click into our team's profile, which has 700 reviews, or into our individual agent profile if they're going to start working with X agent from our team, and see all of that agent's reviews.
We just always push Zillow reviews because that was really important to make sure your Zillow profile was looking good, and that's probably going to change in the next 2 months, but I don't know. But for us to make sure, so we don't use another service like Jeff does. We focus, and that's what we use when we get the Zillow review link. I'll send that on like a pre-listing package too. Just say, hey, if you want to see our reviews, go to this. And I feel like our profile is probably one of the more impressive in Omaha, and we really worked on building that. But again, that might all change when they change that. But it's also good for getting seller leads.
Mark, are you Zillow leads?
Yeah, Zillow was the first one I was aware of, so I just started there and focused all of my reviews and everything on Zillow. So yeah, I've got pretty much the best profile in my market. I have the link in my email signatures. All of my agents do. Check out our reviews and stuff. So yeah, we're real proud of it. We have it everywhere. We send everyone to our reviews.
So what's the sweet spot for numbers of testimonials or reviews. If you have 30, is that good, or does you need 500?
Well, I'd answer that by saying if you go to buy a product on Amazon, do you want to see 10 reviews or hundreds of reviews or thousands of reviews? The more the merrier. But they can't be static. I hate seeing static reviews. Yeah. Like the company chose their favorite ones and pasted them on the website. It needs to be some tech that offers most recent, which you'd be able to do with Zillow. One comment on that, sorry Mike, I have to steal your thunder for a sec. Whatever funnel you go down with the review, in the review realm, pick one. You can't ask your client to go on to Yelp, Google review, Facebook review, Zillow, Real Satisfied. Pick one channel that you're going to drive all your reviews, but pick one that you can put a backlink onto your website. Because when your clients come out to learn more about you, they don't care what you say about yourself. They care what other people are saying about you.
I would agree with that. When I first started asking my clients for reviews, I sent over a link to I think 3 different websites and I didn't get much back. And then once I just sent one out, just focused on Zillow and a link, that I got an immediate response back right away. So much easier.
Yeah. Any questions? We have 6 minutes left. I've got one more question for them, and that is niche markets.
Jeff, I have a question for you. We use Real Satisfied also. So speaking of that, when we asked you to do one, so Real Satisfied is really nice for Zillow. Is it, so we have what we specifically on our Zillow. So yeah, we have a very good operate on our Real Satisfied.
Yeah.
Our site, our Zillow links to our site as well. Going back to Zillow.
Yeah. So one strategy, I don't know that everyone could hear a comment, but Real Satisfied syndicates with several companies. So if someone leaves you a Real Satisfied review and you approve the review, meaning you want to syndicate it, you can push a button and it auto links to a bunch of other sites like Google+, Facebook, Yelp. It does not syndicate with Zillow. So what we've done, because we want Zillow reviews as well so we can catch Briley's who are killing us, when the house goes pending, before it closed, which a lot of bad stuff can happen between pending and closed, we ask them for their Zillow review. And then once it's closed, we ask them for their Real Satisfied review. And Zillow review takes 2 seconds. The Real Satisfied review is a 20-minute review.
Yeah, no, I got a really quick strategy too. I learned this from an agent in my marketplace. He would send the review out to each spouse. So you could technically get 2 reviews on every sale. Because it's a different email, different computer. So I was looking at his sales, I was like, how's he getting so many damn reviews? Like, is he paying for these or something? But yeah, no, he's sending them to each spouse. So if you go in and look closely, it's the same house, but 2 different reviews.
Another easy way to do that, you can take that one review that they gave you on Zillow, send that over to them in an email, exact word for word, and give them a link to, say, Facebook, because that's what I do, and offer them a $5 gift card if they just copy and paste the review they've already given to that new site.
Yeah.
That's
You guys could have a call night. We've done a lot of these in the past, like buy everyone pizza and beer, give an award for whoever gets the most reviews, and spend the whole night going back the last 12 months, 24 months, letting everyone know you're doing a campaign to get as many reviews as possible tonight, and see if you can get them to go on and review you right away.
Last question, niche markets we haven't really mentioned. Divorce situations, seniors. Are any of you doing divorces or seniors? Focus on.
We're doing short sales for our niche and rental properties.
Rental properties.
We have someone on our team that specializes in short sales and someone that specializes in rental property management. So all these rental leads, all the agents are like, how am I going to make money off that? In our market, you can't really make money off rental leads. We send them to one of our agents who puts them in rentals, but part of a rental agreement is that when they're ready to buy a house, they have to buy with her. That's been kind of unique.
You still have people underwater?
Any questions? Yeah.
It's underwater.
Short sales?
50 a month.
Versus Sphere, and if you do pay a different split, how you would keep your agents motivated that, like 50-50 internet lead comes through, they don't want to just push that aside and go straight to their Sphere where they would potentially get paid more.
I didn't hear it.
So he was asking about different splits for different lead sources. We could barely hear you, I'm sorry. We got this air conditioner right over our heads.
If you pay different splits depending on the lead source, and if you do, how do you keep them motivated to continue prospecting to the leads that would maybe get paid at a lower split?
That's what I don't offer different splits.
Yeah, I don't offer different splits.
Just because for that reason, I think it's a big reason. And
Kevin, we do 50-50 splits on our Boomtown leads. Kevin's on my team. So our internet leads are 50-50 and our agents are at a 60-40 to 80-20 split depending on their production.
one thing that Adam said about how we're guides, I love that he said that. I just read this book, it's called Building a Story Brand, and it talks about how to tell a story about your brand, about your business, and create that emotional attachment, because any big brand knows this very well, that you've got to get people emotionally attached to them to want to connect with them and stay with them. So I found it a great book, and in there they talk about how you need to be the guide in the story, not the hero. Your clients need to be the heroes and positioned in that way, because I've done the same thing where you do this great video or something about yourself or an ad. It's like, okay, that's great. I don't care about you. What's that doing for me? You need to position them as the hero and you as the guide.
What book is that?
Building a Story Brand.
Building a Story Brand.
Yeah, it's by Donald Miller.
Man, you were ready to go.
I don't remember the name.
Also, I pulled this up, Bob. If anyone wants to see the Real Satisfied widget, you'll see it flashing through the site with our most recent testimonials.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Did you have
No, Nikki.
boom?
Just kidding.
Yes. Did you have Boomtown with the widget? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that through your design?
Yeah, we added that through Boomtown, but you could add that to any site you have right now, I would assume, your broker site or wherever.
All right, it's 2:00.
All right. Thanks, you guys. That was awesome.